Ashley here with a Natural Mom's Touch. Today I'm going to be making cinnamon streusel coffee cake. I have all my ingredients measured out. So here I have 3/4 cup and 2 tablespoons of flour, 1/3 cup sugar, 1/3 cup brown sugar. You can use light or dark. Today I'm using light. And then in here I have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then I also have 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And then you will also need 6 tablespoons of melted butter, which I have here. So I'm going to dump that all together. You're going to want to preheat the oven to 350 for this. This is to make the streusel topping. Okay, so it says you can whisk this together. Sorry, I thought I had all my tools out, and I didn't. I forgot one. But it's right there. You can whisk this together. I always found, sorry about that. That's a spoon. I always found it worked better with a fork because of the brown sugar. So I use a fork to like whisk it than my big whisk. And then it also says to use a fork to add the melted butter, but I always find my crescent, I always called it a crescent. Just use this. Let's just go with that. That's what I use when I make biscuits too. Some people use 2 forks for that too. Just not a fan. Okay, so I'm going to take my crescent moon and I'm going to pour that in. I pour it all in at once. You can do it separately if you'd like. I just like to get it going. So this is going to be the delicious streusel topping. You actually put the streusel on the top, and you also mix this in on the in between the 2 layers of the cake. You pour half the batter in, and then put this in the middle. So this is one of my husband's favorites. I'm actually making it tonight for him, so when he gets home from work, he can have it because he works nights. So I try to make some nice things every once in a while for him. Okay, so you want it to be about that consistency. It's just crumbly, like you'd like on top of it. I'm gonna take that. And next up, we are going to make the batter. So bear with me. All right, it is time to do the cake batter part of the cinnamon streusel coffee cake. So in here, so far I have 1½ cups of flour. In here I have 1 1/4 teaspoons baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon salt. So we're gonna sift those together. I have a huge sifter. I mean, look at this thing. It's like as big as my head. Almost there. I always hate the last bit of sifting. All right, now we have that. Okay. Put that aside, and we're also gonna set this aside. It's all sifted. Sorry. I'll put it right there, out of the way. All right. This can also go in there. Perfect. So next up, I love using a big glass pitcher. These, the batter bowls. When I do things, I like that there's a handle on them. I like that when I do breads, I can use the lid when I proof it. So just a little tip from me to you. These things are amazing. They take up a lot of room, but I actually use them more than I thought I would. So now we're going to take the butter, which is softened at room temperature. And we're going to beat it. It says to use like a paddle, which would be like your KitchenAid, but I really like using my handheld mixer better than my KitchenAid for this recipe. So you're going to beat the butter until fluffy. You beat it for about a minute. So it's nice and fluffy and whipped up, as you can see. So now we're gonna beat in the, we're gonna add on the sugar and then beat it. And it says about 3 minutes. Dump it all in. 1 cup of sugar. And you wanna beat this until it's light and fluffy also. Nice light and fluffy sugar and butter. And then you want to take 2 room temperature eggs and beat them in 1 at a time. So there's the first one. Like you can see, it's all combined in there. And now the second one. The 2 eggs are combined. All right. Now we're going to use the vanilla. Put it in there. And the vanilla, you use 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm just going to take a spatula and run down the, ooh, I threw a little bit of the mixture, but that'll be okay. Take a spatula and go down the sides of the bowl. Okay, now we are going to add our flour mixture. You're going to add it in half. So put in half, mix it. Oh, sorry, a third. Sorry, 1/3 of it. It's about 1/3. And then you're going to beat this in. And then after you beat it in, you're going to add half of the sour cream, which is 1 cup of sour cream. So you're going to do, like I said, just half of it. So that's about mixed up. Now I'm going to take half of the sour cream that I have here. Like I said before, it's probably a little hard to hear me. 1 cup of the sour cream. But we're only going to add about 1/2 cup. That's good enough. This is one of my favorite coffee cakes. It's going to be hard for me to resist eating it. Alright, there is half of the sour cream mixture. Okay, another third of the flour. That's about a third there. Beat that in. Okay, we're gonna put in the last bit of sour cream. That could have been really bad. I'm going to also take this opportunity to scrape the sides of the bowl. Okay. And I'm just going to set my spatula down. Break that in. Okay, so our cream's in, and I'm going to add the last third of the flour mixture. So again, scraping to get everything. Becomes a pretty thick batter. I always give my hand mixer a little help. It's nice and mixed up. Like I said, it's a pretty thick batter. That. Yummy! Alright, so now we are going to move on to the next step. Another thing I suggest is for your recipes, putting them in these nice protective things and in a binder, because I am a pretty messy, as you've seen, cook and baker. So, like that mess I have right there. Put that in eggshell. That'll work. Perfect. Okay, so I have a prepared pan right here. It calls for a 9-inch. I always use an 8-inch just because I don't have a 9-inch. It's always worked out for me. I hope to get a 9-inch soon. I just spilled on the floor. I don't even know where I spilled, so I don't step in it. Won't be the last time. Okay, so pour half of it in. That's a little bit more than half. Every time I always do a little bit more than half when I go, I'll pour half in. Chris never seems to mind. Okay, and then you want to put about half of this of the streusel mixture we made earlier. I'll put about half of that in there too. This makes it super yummy. I think Chris likes the mixture in the middle better than even the mixture on the top. Okay. Then you put the rest of it in on top. It's a very thick batter, so you're gonna kind of have to like help spread it. I'll tilt the camera down so you can see a little bit better what I mean. So you gotta like help it get to the edges. Oh, it smells so good. Scrape it out. Okay, and then you're gonna take the top, the rest of the topping. Look at that. I'm gonna be sad I can't eat this. You take the rest of the topping and put it on the top. And then you're gonna bake it in the oven at 350 for about 30 to 40 minutes. This is a nice, I think, breakfast, even like during like a bring to a holiday thing. I do it a lot of times for brunch. This are my cinnamon rolls. Everybody loves those. I'll do this in the morning for the kids sometimes. I think this is a nice surprise for my husband tomorrow, considering he will be driving all night in the snow. We're supposed to get 2 to 5 inches, they said, or 3 to 7, depending on where you live. So hopefully he's in a good mood. And if not, this should brighten his mood. When you put the crumb topping on the top, the streusel topping, you want to pat it down so it kind of like sticks to the batter. So I'm going to put this in the oven